Welcome to another episode of Aslan Speaks. I know I haven't been posting on my channel, and it's been a minute. We get distracted by life, right? I have 2 jobs at the moment, working hard. And basically what I want to share is don't get distracted by life. We get focused on paying the bills, taking care of the family, and we tend to forget about our dreams and goals and our inspirations. And this is me encouraging you to don't forget your dreams and goals. And if you have placed them on a shelf somewhere, time to brush off your dreams and goals and pursue them. Follow your inspirations. Inspire others. Now let's talk about the main message that I want to share today. This is going to be like an introduction to Gnosticism. Sorry if I can't pronounce that. And I've been called to share this because, yes, I'm a Christian, but back in the day, the early followers of Christ, or Jesus, or Yeshua, was known as the Gnostics. And there's even Gnostic Gospels that tell a similar tale to the Bible, but are a little bit different. And today, I'm sharing a chapter from my book, Hidden Knowledge, Gained Wisdom. You can find it on Amazon, but it's chapter 8, and it's called Gnosis. So what is Gnosis? Gnosis simply is the Greek word for wisdom. Gnosis is basically, it's not a religion. It's not necessarily even knowledge. It's a knowing. There's many people out there who could quote you scripture in the Bible, but do they really know what it means? Do they feel that and can speak that scripture from their soul? Gnosticism is like direct knowledge. For me, when I speak sometimes, my direct knowledge comes from the Holy Spirit. And that's taken years of meditation, inner work, prayer, deprogramming myself, because in this world we were programmed in a way from family members, school, movies, television. And some of the things I learned when I was younger didn't align with my soul's truth. And this video may align and resonate with you, and it may not. So I'll take a brief moment and ask you, have you done any soul work on yourself, the inner work that's needed? And that starts with taking a good look in the mirror, looking at yourself. What is your higher nature and what is your lower nature? What attributes about yourself that you're not happy with? And basically you gotta look within and remove those attributes that are not aligned with your soul's truth, and replace those attributes with what is aligned with your soul's truth. And Gnosticism, or Gnosis, helps you with that. Wisdom is knowledge attained through experience. Yes, I talked about that earlier. Back in the day, hundreds of years ago, there was a phrase that was on every temple in Greece. That phrase was nase te ipsum. Nase te ipsum. That phrase, translated, means know thyself. In this modern world, many people, if you ask them, do you truly know yourself? And they'll spot on, yes, I know myself. I went to high school here. I believe in this religion, or yada, 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 so on and so on. But do they truly know thyself? What makes their soul come alive? What is your purpose in life? What is the meaning to life? And I want you to ask yourself those questions. Dive deeper. Many people just glimpse over the surface of themselves, and they don't take a good look. That's why we're plagued with, in my opinion, narcissism, pridefulness, lustfulness, materialism. That's all surface level stuff, and then them are all things that are ungodly, so to speak. They are not divine. So, know thyself. If a person wants to become more enlightened or become a better human being overall, they must want to better themselves and improve their lives. I ask you, do you want to better your life? Do you want to improve yourself? What steps have you taken in your life to improve yourself? It's hard because we get just like I said, we get distracted by life, but you gotta take some moment in your life, set aside some time, and take some steps to improve your life. And you internally, as a human being, you already know what you need to do. Yes, I'm talking to you, whoever's out there, and this resonates with them. You already know what things you need to work on. To find happiness, a person must look and examine their own psychology and belief structures. Everybody's looking for some form of happiness in their lives. Yes, everyone's looking for some form of happiness in their lives. But the problem is, most humans are looking outward in the world to find their happiness. You're looking outward. True happiness is within. Happiness is a state of beingness. And for me, I'm usually in a calm, tranquil state of mind all the time. Why? Because I've done the inner work, or I've tried. I'm not perfect, guys. I'm not all knowing. I'm not I don't want no one to put me up on a pedestal. I'm flawed. I'm a flawed human being as well. I'm just trying my best in this world, and I try to share my own experiences with you guys to help you not make the same mistakes that I've have. But yeah, we gotta stop looking outward. It's inward we have to work. If your life's not perfect, if you're lacking, if you're going in and out of relationships, if you're struggling with work or your career, that all stems from within. Let me rephrase that, or let me restate that. It all starts from within. The micro is the expression of the macro. Your outer world is a reflection of you. So if it's not going accordingly to your plans, it's because something within you is affecting your outer reality. And that could be how you think, how you act, your actions. And so, like I said, guys, you got to start changing the inside of you. And that's hard. There's tons of stuff that we don't want to look at. We don't want to face. We fear it. Because you don't want to bring up the depression. You don't want to bring up the anxiety. You don't want to bring up that unhappiness within you. So, guys, it's time to change. Sorry, I'm reading from this book as well. And I was called to give this for free. Yes, you could buy my book at Amazon, but I'm going to take a moment to share this. Any person that's trying to share knowledge and wisdom and stuff and trying to be a helping, loving person is going to not make money off of it. Yes, it would be helpful if people bought my books, and yes, I encourage that, but I'm not greedy. I don't really want your money. I just want to genuinely help people. You know? So, now some individuals say that they want to change for the better, but all they do is talk about it rather than actually doing it. A person must act to bring about change. So many people in this world, like, hey, I want to do this. I want to meditate. I can't do it. I want to pray more. I want to be kind more. I want to be loving more. You got to stop the talking and put it in action. You want to be a better human. Like, some people want to be like, I keep going in and out of relationships. And then they blame the other person, but then they don't realize that they're the ones who are breaking the hearts because they don't want to be loyal. They don't want to be trustful. They don't want to be honest. They don't want to be committed. And they say they want to do all those things, but then their actions are different. Let your actions speak. Actions are things you do in life, it's momentum movement. So, gnosis, wisdom, truth, or enlightenment rarely comes in a book that you can read. It comes to you by your own personal experiences. So, your own personal experiences. You can't learn to change a tire. You can read about it and stuff, but you won't actually know how to change a tire in a car until you physically pull out the tire from the trunk and the jack and take off the lug bolts and change a tire. It's through experience. Certain things can't be explained to you in person. So, like, you can't feel God's love, His warmth, His abundance, His voice when He speaks to you until you truly experience it. And God can mean anything because there's different. God means differently to many people. And I don't want to turn off people who don't necessarily believe in Christianity. Yes, I'm Christian based. I'm Jesus based. I'm a godly human being. But this message is intended for everybody. Certain things such as wisdom, truth, and enlightenment must be learned by yourself on your own life path. We all have our own life path. And we all have, we all take different ways of finding God. Some of you guys are born into a good, loving Christian family, and you learn God at an early age. Some of us learn God's love in the darkest moments of our life. So take charge of your lives. Do some form of action in obtaining the happiness or the wisdom that a person is seeking. Once a person takes action in their lives, he or she will gain knowledge or wisdom through their own experience. So once you take that action, you will gain that knowledge. The problem is many people get caught up in the material world and focus on their jobs or getting that fancy car or that mansion. You guys got to learn what's truly important in life. Take a moment. What is truly important to you? I've known millionaires. I've hung out, rubbed shoulders with millionaires or wealthy people. And often, yes, they have all the stuff, materialism, but they're not truly happy. Yes, they buy temporary happiness through materialism, but usually they're loners, or the people that they thought were their friends were not, because they want them for their money for all the wrong reasons. People tend to forget to focus on themselves and work on growing spiritually. You got to work on growing spiritually. To walk the gnosis path is to forget about the material world and focus on one's inner self. The gnosis path answers questions such as, so once you begin to learn gnosis or Gnosticism, and there's many good videos out there and books out there on gnosis and Gnosticism, you will start to learn why we're here on this earth, who we are as human beings, and you'll learn what is your purpose. Everybody on this earth has experienced the inner urge to seek something greater than themselves. We all have that divine guidance within us, that intuitive feeling like, hey, we got to seek something greater. And I encourage you guys out there to seek something greater. Usually on the spiritual path or an enlightened path, most people have a gut feeling that there is something more to life. The urges a person feels pushes them towards trying to understand and learn what they don't know. To understand the thing that is greater than themselves. A search for spirituality and interchange comes from within a human being. It comes from your soul. It comes from one soul. We all have, in Gnosis you'll learn this, we all have, most people don't realize this, we all have voices in our head. And when you start learning spirituality and prayer, those voices are sometimes not your own. And through spiritual practice, or, you start to learn and filter out what's in your mind. Where these thoughts and feelings come from. And I'm going to explain this, guys. Some of these voices are friends who go, you shouldn't be doing this. Or they subconsciously manipulate through what they say. And then whatever they say may trigger something within you. And now you're upset, hurt or sad. And it's like, wait, that wasn't my voice. That wasn't my divine self speaking to me. That was somebody, one of my friends, saying something. Or it happened. Some of these voices are um, you get it with gangster rap. I'm a victim of this as well, where you listen to the gangster rap out there, and it's all about talking about being a thug, slanging stuff, money, cars, girls, and then you listen to that and you're like, yeah, I'm tough, I'm a gangster. But is that was that my divine self speaking? No, it was the voices from the music. You get through. It's examples are endless, guys. So with gnosis and walking the spirit, you'll start to learn self mastery, and then you'll sit and reflect and be like, all right, this emotion, this feeling, this thought is from the movies that I've been watching, or the music I've been listening, or from my job. And then you'll start to filter out what is divine, like what comes from God, what comes from your inner self, your true self, your divine self. And then there's the voices of your ego. We basically essentially have two minds. And that's the ego self, the personality self, and then there's the divine self. And then you begin to filter out the two. Most people believe that they're in control of their lives. Most people always believe they're in control. But really, they're not. But are you? Yes, are you truly in control of your lives? We are like a balloon in the sky being pushed that way and that way by the wind. That's what we are, guys, like a giant balloon. And we're on it, and we think we're in control, but really a gust of wind comes and it pushes us that way and pushes us this way. It's all over the place. So no matter how hard you try to adjust, how hard we try to adjust our balloon on our own life's path, the air in the sky overpowers us and blows us off course. In our life, we get blown off course all the time. Maybe we're trying to go to college and get a degree, and then something else happened externally where you lose your job or some type of crisis happens, and then you can no longer focus on school because you got to focus on surviving. As a result, a person must learn to adapt to the change that comes in their lives. But the air is constantly blowing us all over the place. Like the wind's constantly blowing us all over the place. So it's hard for a person to find their purpose or destiny when it's being blown around or steered off course. It's hard, guys. When you're constantly in life, you have to adjust. The wind's pushing you this way, so you're going this way, and then you're like, I gotta get back on course. It's hard. It's hard to get yourself back on track, but I encourage you to get yourself back on track. Ask yourself, are you in control of your life right now? And if you're not, what are you doing to gain control? So maybe we don't have control of our lives. Maybe we don't have control of our lives. Perhaps we are simply reacting to external forces in our lives, external forces such as emotions, feelings, and pre-programmed beliefs. Some of these external factors are, like I said, guys, emotions, feelings. Sometimes we react out of anger from external force. And that can change our life in an instant. We hear tons of stories about people going to prison or successful people acting out, doing something stupid because some external factor triggered them, and then they reacted in a not a positive way that helped, in a negative way that affected their lives. We see this also with people who drink, drug addiction. There's external factors, maybe childhood trauma or adulthood, or things that happen to them, and then they're triggered emotionally, and then they're not really in self-control, so they feel out of control, so they smoke or do some type of drugs to numb that pain, so they don't have to deal with it. They don't want to do the inner work. And I have nothing against people who dabble in alcohol and whatnot, but I'm gonna take a moment. Does that alcohol or drug control your life? Can you go 30 days without it? Are you numbing yourself? Because, guys, you can't hear the voice of God or connect to the divine when you're constantly being numbed. I've learned that, guys. I used to smoke and blaze every day. And then I had to look at myself. And it wasn't until I got rid of that addiction till I started to grow more spiritually. All right. So we're simply reacting to external forces. So most human beings are almost like they're in the matrix and are programmed like robots going about their day. Watch people. A lot of them are just going to this destination. They're programmed like it. It's hard to see sometimes. Human beings must get rid of the pre-programmed beliefs, structures, and become more of their own person. Learn to become your authentic self. Other people tend to control us. For example, if you're hanging with someone that likes to smoke weed, it's likely that you will eventually also smoke weed, or at least try it. If a person was to tell you that you're ugly or not good looking, it might make you feel unworthy or not beautiful. However, if a person gives you a compliment and says you're handsome or beautiful, then usually that compliment will make you feel good. If someone compliments you, it will make you happy and uplifted. I'm suggesting that other people have control over your life. It's not you who has control over your life. So we have all these external factors. And with Gnosis when you start working on your spiritual self, you start to realize what's affect these. You begin to see with clear vision, and you start to see these external factors. And then when you start seeing these external factors trying to manipulate you this way, or controlling you, or trying to plant voices or ideas in your mind, you'll be conscious of it, you'll be aware of it, and you'll be like, you know what? Nope, I'm not going this way. I'm not letting you affect my emotions, my feelings, or drive me this way. I'm going to stay centered in my divine self. But also, how other people affect your life and have control of your life, you guys also have control over people's lives. And we see this with people all the time, where even kids, they learn, if I just, toddlers and stuff, when they fake cry. You all dealt with this probably. They fake cry, and then guess what? You give in and you give them that TV or that tablet or that toy they want. That's control. That's manipulation. We all learn it at an early age. So learn that you're also the external factor in somebody else's life. And there's a thing called free will, and you shouldn't infringe on people's free will. Yes, you can help guide them in a loving way. You can give people knowledge and advice and be helpful. But you shouldn't force your ideas or things because sometimes you can steer someone off course. That's some powerful stuff, guys. If you're in a bad mood and you take the bad mood on your friend or family member, maybe your friend or family member also starts having a bad mood. You see this with parents who are in a bad mood and they take it out on their children, and then now their kids are in a bad mood. It's not just people who influence people. Materialistic items can also affect or control people's lives. For example, let's say it starts to rain and your car windows are down, and inside your car it gets wet. Like your windows are down, you forget about it, it starts to rain, and then you go outside and you see your car's soaked. You're like, then that material item in the weather just started controlling you, and you get upset. You get and you get angry, you get frustrated, and maybe take it out on other people. Who knows? But learn. There's universal laws out there, and one of them is called cause and effect. Your actions, your deeds, your thoughts can affect people. That's why I try not to gossip. I try not to talk, cause drama in people, because it's a negative thing. And even I catch myself sometimes if I start to gossip. Nope, I'm gonna refuse to gossip about other people, because my words can affect people. Your words are powerful. Your thoughts are powerful. So be mindful of what you do in this life. You guys, I encourage you to be a loving, inspirational being in life. Be a light. Don't be a darkness. Why? Don't control and manipulate people. But it's hard in this world, guys. If a person reflects or looks at the day that he or she had, and the emotions or thoughts that he or she had, they may realize that their reactions and feelings can be caused by external factors in their lives, or even internal factors. Due to these external factors in our lives, it influences our lives. It can cause us to not be in the present moment. It causes us to be not consciously awake. The secret of the Gnosis path is to develop or awaken our consciousness, because for most human beings, even though they go about their day-to-day lives, that they think they're awake, they're not truly awake because the consciousness is sleeping. The key to awakening one's consciousness is Gnosis. All right, guys, I'm done reading this because this kind of like, I'm going to try to do a freestyle. And my goal is to, I shared a little bit example in my book. This one right here, Hidden Knowledge, Gained Wisdom by Eric Johnson. But I'm going to freestyle and see what comes through from my heart. So Gnosis is basically, it helps you awaken. Most people are sleeping consciously, or if they're consciously awake, maybe on a scale from 1 to 10, maybe you're at 2%. As I started doing this journey and practicing Gnosis, direct knowledge, one of the things I did is, one, I sought out knowledge. And I used my discernment to know what is right for me and what is not for me. And as you practice Gnosis, you'll gain maybe psychic abilities, clairsentience, clairaudience, or even I call my gift is I'm an intuitive empath. So I just, through feeling, through energy, through like the things that are going around, I just know things about people I know people's life stories without even them even talking to me. Sometimes I can just take a good look at it, and that's not coming from a place of judgment. So basically, and Gnosis is so vast, I cannot explain it in a 30-minute or an hour-long video. But Gnosis is basically a form of self-mastery. And I'm currently working on a book to dive way deeper into Gnosis. So this is the last thing I'm going to share with you guys. Gnosis is also basically, when you start practicing Gnosis, you'll seek out knowledge. You'll start learning stuff. You'll start actually putting it into practice. One of the keys to Gnosis is meditation, learning to meditate every day. And it's also mind and emotional control and awareness. Mindfulness, emotional control, and awareness. So we are often not aware. You know how many people you see walking down the street and they're gazing at their phone in their hand, and they're just walking unaware that they could bump into somebody. You even see people at grocery stores where they're running through the court, and they're not, they'll just cut you off and grab that thing in front of you, and you have to stop. And because if you didn't stop, you would have crashed into them, because they're unaware. Most people are sleeping unconsciously, and most people are unaware of how their actions, their deeds, their words affect other people. And the goal with Gnosis is to awaken, to be aware of everything. And that's it's a gift and a curse, guys, because I see, it's sad, I see so many unawakened people. I don't pass judgment on them. I see people who care more about Sunday football than helping someone in their family. Let's say someone in the family is struggling and they're so unconscious. They're unconscious. They're such asleep that they're unaware of how that person in their family is truly hurting, and they're more focused on their job, their career, making money, or you even see in relationships where you see someone who's been loyal to you, loving, kind, honest, a solid rock for you, and then the other person in the relationship who's just cares about me. What more can I get from this person? What can I get them to buy me? Or can they buy me a car? Or they just want to use and manipulate, and they're unaware that you using and manipulating is actually hurting their partner on the inside. And lastly, I'm going to break down Gnosis is, we all, like I said, have two minds. And Gnosis teaches us how to tap into our divine self and teach us to be aware of that mindfulness. And one mindfulness is the ego. The ego of, like, when I'll use an example, when I was younger, I grew up in the inner city of Milwaukee. And then I moved away, obviously, but I had that mentality of being, and I mentioned this in my other videos, of being a gangster, being a thug. And then that's the type of music I listened to. And I always had to be tough. And then I wouldn't speak all the nice things. If someone, said something demeaning to me, I would speak it back, and then I'd be like, let's fight about it. And I've changed so much in my life because I had to shed the stuff that wasn't really me. And in Gnosis, they teach how do you find out what is, like, how do you tell which is guiding your path? And in Gnosis, in Christianity, it's the 7 deadly sins: lust, greed, anger, gluttony, so on. You guys know this. And you'll learn to begin what is driving you. My ultimate goal is I want God, or my divine self, my highest self, to guide me, my vessel, to guide the words out of my mouth, to be an inspiration. And your divine self, that's positive, that's love, it's that higher vibrational frequency. You see the chakras behind me. Anything from a lower vibration, lower energy, lower emotion is not godly. It's ego. Lust, greed. And you see so many people who are so lustful. Like, I get flirted with all the time by, hit on all the time, and me, I just want a godly woman. A caring, loving, loyal, honest human. But often the people that come to flirt with me, they're not coming to me from their heart space, from their divine self space. They come to me from their lower nature self. They want me as a trophy in their trophy case. And I fell victim to this before, where I thought a person was being genuine, and they just wanted me for materialism, maybe a roof over their house, or because, I don't know what's people's heads, but they want me for all the wrong reasons. And luckily, through my spiritual path and enlightenment, God guided me to be like, hey, I see them for who they really are. They're in their lower nature. And often, that's why some relations don't work out, especially if you're really spiritual or a God-loving woman or man, because you enter a relationship and you're not on the same vibration. And you sit there being a good, loving person. Hey, I can fix this person. I can help them. I'll share knowledge with them. And they may take, some nuggets of your wisdom and insight, but ultimately they don't change. Gnosis is lasting change. Gnosis is wisdom through direct experience. And so when you learn the 7 deadly sins, and you start to begin to filter your mind consciously, you'll learn, like, something some external factor or something within you triggers a response in you, and let's say your coworker does something that is not appropriate at work, and you get angry about it, and you begin to lash out, or like if they're being saying negative things to you, you begin to say negative things. Well, with gnosis, awareness, to awaken from sleeping to awake, you consciously see it. Whoa, this person's coming at me in a lower their lower nature, from anger to maybe envy and jealousy or whatever it is, and is speaking harshly to me. And you consciously recognize it, and you oh, they're in their lower nature, and they're about to get me in my lower nature. And I'm going to react back in anger. Well, with gnosis, be like, you can see it and be like, you know what? Nope, I'm not letting this person steer my balloon or my ship off course. I'm going to stay in my divine self. I'm not going to argue with this person. I am not going to speak out nasty things to this person. I'm not going to stoop to their level. And then you stay in your centered divine self, and you can still talk to that person, but in a calm, loving demeanor way, and communicate. And that's the problem with this world today, guys. Most people don't know how to communicate. They don't know what truly makes them tick. They don't know that they're being controlled unconsciously by external factors and internal factors, because you see it I see it all the time, guys, in my career that I do, and through the life coaching and stuff. I see a lot of people who are in their lower nature, and then they react because maybe they're on drugs, maybe they're drinking, and then the sober version of them is amazing. You know, when they speak to you, they're kind, they're loving, and then when they're on some type of substance, something takes over them, and it's almost like they become a different person. So gnosis, guys. Know thyself. Nascite ipsum. Learn, guys. It's so important to begin some form of spiritual practice, to do the inner work on oneself. Not only learn emotional control, mindfulness, and awareness, and then you put it into practice. You know, like if there's certain things you've been doing in your life that keeps getting you to be in your lower nature or steers you off course, then you gotta sit with yourself, right? I know so many people are like, why can't I find a good partner? And then they don't realize, like, it's happened to me, for example, like, Spirit, God gives you a perfect partner, gives you everything that you wanted. But at that time, you were too busy being in your lower nature to see the gift that you were given, to be grateful for what you were given. You know, I've even had this in my life where when I was younger, her name was Amber, and still to this day, it's she haunts me because she was a gift. And at that time, I was in my early 20s. I was prideful. I was lustful. And I didn't see what a gift that I had. I didn't realize that God gave me that person in my life. And if I would have stayed with her, I would have been married with children by now. And I would have had a loving, lasting, loyal person at my side. And me being out at that time, yes, I was a Christian, but I wasn't really practicing it. I was getting lost in the material world. I was getting distracted by toxic friends who were like, let's go out, drink and party. And I was being always pulled somewhere. And yes, there was moments of my divine self, but I wasn't really following a godly path or living godly every day. Right actions, right thinking, controlling my emotions. And I lost that person because of living in the ego. But I didn't know this knowledge back then. Now I know this knowledge. And so it begins with, so like, guys, like I said, meditation. On YouTube, there's awesome guided and just stick with it. Like sometimes if you're having a hard time doing some type of practice or whatever, go get a giant marker board and put it right on your wall next to your bed and write it out, and then write in big letters, must do this task today. And then, like I said earlier, because I'm going to get back to if somebody's like, why can't I get a good partner? It's because there's something internally wrong with you. And that's hard to hear. There's something internally wrong with you. Maybe you're not being loyal. Maybe you're just saying you're loyal, but your actions don't do it. Maybe you're not being truly loving. Because love and lust is two different things. If you want a lasting relationship, then change that lust into love. It's way more powerful. Lust is fleeting. That moment of, a couple of minutes or 10 minutes, 20 minutes with this whatever person, yeah, it's a natural high in the moment. But when you're, guys, I'm telling you, so when two people love each other, like, and loyal and committed to each other, there's a way different high. And it lasts your whole entire life. So begin self-mastery. Seek God. Begin to work on your internal self. Heal that trauma. And guys, everybody, like, I'm going to share this. Everybody is seeking a treasure in life. And the cave that you fear most going into usually holds that treasure. The cave that you fear most in entering usually holds that treasure. And what that parable is, that cave is you. And within you, you hold a treasure. And with Gnosticism, with wisdom, with knowledge, you begin to find that treasure within. Because if you fix this, you fix the world around you. Instead of being controlled by external factors, you you gain control. You learn to, because of my awareness, I could see people coming from a mile away. And I could be like, oh, this is a good, loving person. I choose to let them be in my life. And I'm happy, good, loving humans in my life. And then I could be like, this person, not judging them for their life past, but that person's in their lower nature. And I could tell if I open the door and allow them into my life, they're just going to bring me down as well. And so begin the journey. And you have to eliminate, that's the other thing that Gnosis helps you with, is eliminating the lower nature, your lower self nature. You begin to, once you start practicing over time and gain awareness and consciousness, you begin to stop doing those addictions that came from your lower self. You begin to, instead of being greedy and taking from people either through manipulation or whatnot, and you begin to give. My life changed, guys, so drastically when I started following God. Following Yeshua, Benjamin, Yosef, Jesus. When I chose to do godly or righteous actions, righteousness, right actions, right thinking, getting rid of my addictions, alcohol and, smoking the herb. And once I started being a good human being to other people, and be loving, and I gained so much more. The key is giving, not receiving. God blesses those who blesses others. Anyway, guys, I can ramble on. I hope this message helps somebody out there. And I'm going to leave this last message if you made it this far. What is your purpose? Are you happy in your life right now? Are you happy with the partner you have? Are you happy with the family that you have? What are you doing in your life to make it better? What are you doing in your life that is bringing you down? What people are you allowing into your life that is bringing you down? What decisions are you making that is affecting your life? And then I'm going to ask you, what can you do? Yes, what can you do to manifest a better life. Your soul, your inner self, your divine self speaks to you. But you got to let go of that material world. You got to surrender. You got to ask for forgiveness. And then you also have to forgive. You got to learn to be loving and kind, loyal, respectful. Because if you're always disrespecting or trampling on other people, you just bring more of that into your life. People will trample over you and disrespect you. So begin to change. For some of you, you realize that the environment that you're in is just keeping you in a lower vibrational state or lower consciousness state, and you may have to move. You may have to relocate and get out of the toxic environment and put yourself in an environment that won't trigger temptation, so to speak. For some of you, it's, hey, I'm going to start going to church this Sunday. For some of you, it's finding people like myself and asking them for help and help guide you. And but ultimately, it's up to you. And then the cool thing, guys, on this path is when you start becoming the best version of yourself, your life starts becoming the best version for you. And then once you become a better human and your life starts to grow and is prosperous, then you can help others. God bless you guys. I wish you the best.